Well, here we are. Today is Wednesday, June 19th, and we are looking at none other than Fani Willis's friend, Nathan Wade. It would appear that this homeboy just cannot get right. Everywhere you turn, he is on some form of media, blasting all of the information that he possibly can, getting dangerously close to sharing some of the parts of the case that they are still watching him for. I don't think he realizes that they're still looking at them. Anything and everything that they say publicly, these folks are doing as any good attorney would. They're actually going out and bringing people in that can, I don't know, sort of sway the idea of what's happening. So, what is happening? Well, what's happening is he is taking his time and he is going all over Georgia making comments, giving interviews, talking, running his mouth, and all of that stuff. And to be honest with you, therein lies the problem, because loose lips sink ships. And if there's anything that you know from watching all of the stuff that's going on right now, you know that they're watching. Prying eyes, listening ears, all of the above. I'm going to show you a CNN video that you've probably already seen, but I'm going to give my commentary on it. And the video is pretty telling, because it shows that there is somebody out there that's trying to stop this cat from running his mouth and saying the wrong thing. Honestly, you guys already know that I believe that both he and Fani Willis are their own worst enemies as it relates to media. And to me, it's sort of weird, because when I think about Fani, she has DeSantis. Now, DeSantis is her media cat, right? He came from Washington. This guy is old Washington. He's been around DC for ages. And the problem that I have is that he may not be this media mogul guy, or as far as, running media, he may not be what we think he is for her, because he's not stopping her. She was just at a church, and guess who was sitting in the pews like a little church boy, holding on her every word? None other than Nathan Wade. So her friend just keeps talking, and I think she might want him to shut up. I'm going to show you a video, but before I show you the video, I want to give you some words that were said by people, especially former mayor of Atlanta, Shirley Franklin, who thinks that he needs to just go away and be quiet. Here is an article that came from AJC, which is the paper there in the metro Atlanta area. And if you see this, which I know you do, make sure that you got it. Yeah, make sure you have the whole screen there. Nathan Wade, high profile. It says Nathan Wade's high profile draws scrutiny, because he won't shut up. He won't. Now, this story is by Shannon McCaffrey and Bill Rankin. Quote, he has popped up on 3 national news outlets, celebrated publicly at Fani Willis's primary night victory party, and watched from a pew as the district attorney delivered a speech to Black church leaders. Now it says here, lately, Nathan Wade has been hard to miss. You couldn't miss him. Wade's romance with Willis nearly upended the Fulton County's election interference case against former President Donald Trump, and still could if an appeals court sides with the defense. After he resigned, some thought the former special prosecutor, would sort of keep a low profile. Instead, Wade has grabbed the spotlight with a blitz of national interviews, even as the Georgia Court of Appeals is scrutinizing whether his relationship with the DA, Fani Willis, could disqualify her from the case. Now, let me highlight this, because she seems to feel as if she's been over-sexualized in the media. And according to one of the things that I saw her saying on CNN, she was basically, and I looked at the CNN coverage because that's where you can hear their liberal tears. She was basically saying that, hey, even Giuliani made a comment about my Fanny, calling me Fanny. My name is Fani, not Fanny. But they seem to take some pleasure and some pride, she states, and I'm paraphrasing here, by referring to a woman's bottom when they call my name. Now, I did see the clip, and I do believe that it was quite rude. But, it's par for the course when you are a public figure. I mean, remember Giuliani, he's not beyond reproach. He's not above reproach. He had all of that dye. What is that stuff? The hair club for men color. What was that color? He had all of that black stuff running down the side of his face after they tried to tint his hair. So, we talked about him as well. Now it goes on to say that it isn't sitting well with some of Willis's allies. Here is what the former mayor of Atlanta, Shirley Franklin, said. She says, quote, and this is very impactful, even though it's one concise sentence. She says, I think it's an unnecessary distraction and disrespectful to both the process and to the DA for Wade to be giving interviews at this time. Bingo, bango, absolutely. So it sort of makes you wonder, what is his goal? Why is he doing it? What is the purpose of him making the comments that he's making? If you guys are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I don't bite, especially on Wednesdays. I'm not going to be too, promising about Thursdays or Tuesdays, but surely today being a Wednesday, you are absolutely safe to click the button and become a subscriber over there on the Lockhart Perspective or Headlines with a Voice that are joining us right now. I'm going to make this bigger because I think you need to see more of it. Let me come back on this side and check to make sure you guys, oh yeah, that's beautiful. Are you kidding me? That's great. You can't get any better than this right here. This is great. So what she said was absolutely true. Now, the Georgia State University Law School professor Anthony Michael Kress speculated that Wade might be seeking a television contract, saying, quote, and how can that be a positive thing for the Fulton County DA's office? He goes on to say that I think it would be a constant worry that some internal deliberations might get slipped on national television, he said, posted on X. Now, contacted by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Andrew Evans, a lawyer for Wade, said that he had no comment. However, on that program that we're talking about, he got asked a couple of questions. One of them was, is everything okay? I'm going to get to that piece in a minute. Now, when the news of Wade's and Willis's relationship broke earlier this year, it sidelined the Fulton County election interference case against Donald Trump and 14 of his remaining co-defendants for 2 months. Willis had paid Wade more than $700,000 for his work, and defense attorneys argued that created a conflict of interest that should disqualify the DA and her entire office. Now, we all watched as Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee ruled in March that Willis could stay, but only if she got rid of Wade. So one or the other had to go, and only hours after that, Wade resigned. Now, just days after, Wade set out to break his silence with an interview on NBC's Meet the Press. NBC was already promoting the exclusive interview when Wade abruptly canceled, citing family emergencies. But that didn't stop him in early May when he sat down for an interview with ABC News, where he said workplace romances are, get this and remember this, they're as American as apple pie. We do it all the time, is what the brother was trying to tell you. Don't you know, Fanny ain't the only one that I done the Fanny thing with. It ain't just Fanny, it's others. You just check my profile. I'm that dude. Anyway, he was soon on MSNBC discussing, among other things, the threats that he received while working on the Trump case. So I wonder if he's getting any now, telling him to just shut up, be quiet. We can still hear you. You're breathing? Dude, shh. His appearance last week on CNN went viral, and that's the one that we're going to look at right now to refresh everybody's memory. After a bizarre moment when his media consultant halted the interview and pulled Wade aside, presumably to discuss his answers to the questions about a timeline of his relationship. Now that's where we are going right this second, because you can't talk about this any further without actually seeing it. So let's get on with that. Let's get on with it. There you go. Hopefully it'll queue up perfectly, and it did. And I'm going to give it the full screen. I'll pull this back some.
What is your current relationship with the district attorney?
Just as outlined earlier, we are great friends. We speak regularly. The conversation has changed, though. Whereas before, our conversations were about this case. I'm sure you could imagine and appreciate the amount of time that it takes that you have to pour into a case a case of this magnitude, trying to prosecute those defendants. But our conversations have shifted to how are you handling the threats that are coming your way? Are you being safe? And democracy, the case will live on, kind of thing.
Just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so we get into. There's been this effort to say that okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are. I'm getting signaled here.
Because I'm asking if I'm 5 by 5.
Keep rolling. Keep rolling. Don't stop down.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Just to revisit the question, it was to clarify when the romantic relationship started and when it ended.
Sure. So, I believe that the public has, through the testimony and other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction. It is not a relevant issue in this case. And I think that we should be focusing on more of the facts and the indictment in the case.
Well, I ask because obviously it's still a pending matter. It's going to be before the Court of Appeals. And you talked about how proud you were of all the work that you did in this office. And I think the question that people have when they hear from the Court of Appeals, this isn't happening until next spring, is did the relationship jeopardize that work that you did in this investigation?
And therein lies the issue, why we wouldn't touch upon the work of the Court of Appeals or some higher court, because it's a pending issue before them. I think that we should allow them, take a step back and allow them to take the evidence that they have.
So he's saying that he thinks that it's imperative for them to take a step back and let the appellate court, the appeals process go through and just let them handle it. But here's the problem, dude. You are publicly speaking. Now, I cannot control the volume here. I'm up as loud as I can on this broadcast. It's coming through Twitter. But the issue is that he's sitting there and he's trying to answer these questions. And I don't know why he did not think that somebody was going to ask him about the exact date the relationship started. Good on her. As far as a reporter is concerned, good on her for attempting it. But he's not going to answer. So let's finish.
And do their work, make the decision.
Right. But you did testify to this, and you were asked on the stand about when it started and when it ended. It just wasn't completely clear, because before it said before the indictment, which was August 15th here in Atlanta, and then later the answer was at the end of that year. And so I think that was the clarity that people were seeking of when it started and when it ended.
Sure. And there again, there's a question before the court. And that is the crux of the question. I don't choose to say or do anything that would jeopardize the case or the court's ruling. I prefer to allow them to make their decision based upon what they have and accept it.
Do you believe, as you reflect on this, that your relationship with the district attorney was a mistake?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What I believe is this whole conversation is a distraction. That's all. It's a tool to stop the train, to slow down the inevitable, which is the trial of the defendants named in the election interference case.
Do you believe the trial ultimately happens?
Absolutely. Absolutely it happens.